Dipti, we can start.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Dipti, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, the mobile. Am I audible?
Yes, Dipti,
Just
very much.
taking time. Yeah. Just video is taking time to.
Dipti, you can start in the essence of time. You can start speaking. You're audible. Till
Yeah,
the
yeah.
video comes.
Yeah. Okay. So, Sada Jai Jinendra, and I welcome all the participants in today's webinar. The series with JCAF has started during this COVID time. That is, embrace the new changes with JCF. I welcome all the participants and the galaxy of eminent panelists we have today. Today's topic is very interesting. That is amendments to Schedule 3rd of Companies Act 2013 and other disclosure requirements. So today, let me introduce our today's panelist. We have our today's chairman of the session, CA Nilesh Vikamse, past president IC. Our today's speaker, expert faculty, CA Pramod Jain, Central Council member of ICAI. We have with us Apex President, CA Shantilalji Kochar, Mumbai JCF President, CA Pradeep Kapadia ji. We have our own team members, Mrinal Mehta from Mumbai and our friend CA Virag Shah. So, taking the session forward, I request our Apex President CA Shantilal Kochar sir to welcome our today's guest and participants. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dipti. Good evening to everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of Jain Chartered Accountant Federation, all the participants, those who have joined here, and today's chairman, Sri Nilesh Bhai Vikamsi, and our today's speaker, Sri Pramod Jain, is going to speak on the changes, amendment in the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act, which is going to be a very interesting topic of today's. And I also thanks to all our participants and the teamwork, which has been through the Minal and Virag and Puneet have put the efforts to organize this program and the series of the program. Today is the second session, and we are going to have at least about 10 sessions during this term. And during this COVID period, it is the best thought that we how to pass the time and learn so many things during this period. With these words, I welcome you all once again, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for the welcome, wonderful welcome speech. I now request is CA Virag Shah to introduce our today's chairman of the session and our speaker. Over to you, Virag.
Virag, only the speaker.
Dipti, Santoshji would like to say a few words.
Okay, yes. I also recognize the presence of our JCF Pune President, CA Santosh Doshi, sir. I welcome you, heartiest welcome to you, sir, and it's an honor to have you today on the dais. I request you to please say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dipti, and thank you, JCF Apex. As just Vikamse sir had already told that we are running short of time, I think we should start with our session directly. This particular topic is quite interesting one, and possibly MCA thinks that with these amendments, there will be some stringent provisions as well as compliances as regards to reporting of our on financial statements. But I think it will be better for us that we should hear from the learned speaker only. So thank you for giving me an opportunity. Thank you. Over to Dipti. Thank you.
I think Dipti's network is, I think, not proper. I am taking it. So, would like to introduce. I mean, there is a not introduction required for Nilesh Vikamsi sir, and sir also insisted that we should utilize entire time for the speaker. So, would like to introduce our speaker, CA Pramod Jain sir. Sir is a BCom honors from Sri Ram College of Commerce, fellow member of
अरे रहने दो इंट्रोडक्शन रहने दो विराट जी सब अपने ही है कोई दिक्कत नहीं
Sir, it's our honor.
प्रमोद जी आपका यहाँ पे फर्स्ट टाइम हो रहा है तो थोड़ा जरूरी है प्रमोद जी थोड़ा बॉम्बे में जरूरत है वेस्टर्न रीजन में प्लीज so sir is a fellow member of Institute of Company Secretary of India as well and the Institute of Cost Accountant as well. Sir is a Bachelor of Law, Qualified Information System Auditor, DISA from ICI, member of All India Management Association, MIMA. Sir is an insolvency professional, proficiency in self-assessment test for independent director at Data Bank. Sir has been elected as a Central Council member for ICI for the period 2019 to 22. Apart from being member in more than 25 committees, group directors of ICI, Sir was the chairman of Committee on International Taxation for year 2021. Sir is the chairman at present, International Taxation Audit Quality Review Board for the year 21-22, chairman of Valuation Standard Board for the year 2021, chairman of CSR Committee for the year 2021, vice chairman of Committee on MSME and Startup for the year 21-22, vice chairman of Women Member Empowerment Committee for the year 21-22, vice chairman of Direct Tax Committee for the year 1920 and 2021 as well. So with this brief introduction, we welcome you, sir. And for the purpose, for the benefit of all, I would like to post in the chat box a link of both our speaker and chairman profile in the chat box, so you can check that as well. So I posted Nilesh sir profile, and now I'm posting Pramod sir as well. And now I'm requesting first Nilesh sir to address all the attendees. Thank you, Virag. Shantilal ji, the president at the Apex level, Pradeep Bhai Kapadia, the president at the Mumbai level, all my colleagues on the committee, and all the members. It's indeed a pleasure to be there again with you for the very, very important session today on Schedule 3 and changes in the other disclosure requirements. Friends, before I speak a little bit, I request, I hope all of you are safe, family is safe. Please be very, very careful. Please don't move out unless essential. This particular time, the second wave, the cases all of us are seeing is increasing very rapidly. I was talking to Pramod ji in Delhi, suddenly it has spiked to 25,000. Luckily in Mumbai and nearby areas, it has reduced from 11,000 to 8,500. But we can't still say there is deficit of hospital beds, there is a shortage of oxygen, there is, so we should not be adding to the burden of the, I would say, the hospital authority. So let us ourselves take care and avoid, as much as possible going out and do work from home. Coming to the reason I sort of very gladly accepted this particular mandate is, friends, as you know, nowadays, very few council members are going, to the central council with the background of audit, company law, etc. They're predominantly tax background, or I would say more public relations background. That are the people who are going in. And especially, this is across the region and in Delhi also, very few people in the last many years, if you see people, that predominantly there are tax, international tax background, etc. People who are coming into the, so Pramod ji is one rare, I would say person who's got a fantastic, knowledge on company law, tax, and even accounting standards and IFRS. So a rare combination, I would say. Only thing I remember having a similar, expertise in both areas was Manoj Fadnis ji, who was our past president few years before me. And he had the, dexterity of managing both the, areas. And another reason for me accepting the session is, as I was mentioning, I don't know people heard or not, is myself and Pramod ji have spoken a lot on Companies Act, on accounting, on auditing, and etc., etc. But we have never spoken jointly on any session. So either mine would be morning, his would be afternoon, or vice versa. His would be morning, mine would be afternoon, wherever some occasions have been there. And I had a very recent occasion to interact with him, I would say of the normal thing in Udaipur on Monday evening, when both of us speakers at different points of time for the regional conference of the central region. And I even remember that conversation right now, very engaging conversation. So that was another reason to sort of accept this. Coming to the topic, I'm not going to speak on the topic. Only thing I'm going to, as I mentioned in my session earlier, the fact that most of the legislation, whether it's direct tax, whether it is GST, whether it is Companies Act, the bureaucrats have delegated 75% of the sections. I'm talking of Companies Act, to a delegated legislation. The changes are just happening left, right, and center. And in Companies Act, when I saw, I remembered I spoke about a year and a half back. That time I had an occasion to see the number of changes which has happened. The Act, the 2013 Act has been amended already 6 to 7 times. I've lost count now. The Act, normally earlier the Act amendment was very serious, being sent to a select committee, etc., which is not happening nowadays. From the Union Cabinet decision to the President's signature, one of the amendments happened in less than 15 days. And it's absolutely unbelievable. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and President signing all in a span of 15 days. And what to say about the rules? When I last checked it about 15 months back or so, almost the 44 set of rules which are come in 2014 and 15, 44 or 45 rules, they have been amended 150 times till that point of time. And now I think the count must have reached 200. I've not got a count done recently, last 1 year or so, but with this amendment, I think it must be 180 to 200 times the rules have been amended. So the rate of change is stupendous, is very fast. And the Schedule 3 changes, I think, are arising out of the Caro changes. When the Caro was being changed, a lot of responsibilities were being thrust on the auditors. I think the feedback in the committee was, first, the management has to be responsible for various things. And I will not get into the specifics. I would request Pramodji to speak on that. And wherever required, depending on Pramodji, either during the session or maybe after the session, I'll chip in. So with that, initial remarks, I would request Pramodji to take up the session. And we all look for eagerly to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. In fact, it is my pleasure to be there alongside with you to speak something where you are the chair. I know you are an expert in this subject and I'm just a learner into this. But yes, it is my heartfelt pleasure that I've been given an opportunity to share my views on this Schedule 3 changes. Sabhi ko Jai Jinendra, and all the president and dignitaries. I am really obliged to each and everyone for giving me this opportunity to be a speaker under a charismatic leader of our profession, CA Nilesh Vikamsaji, our past president of ICI. Yes, very rightly said by President Sir that we had, I just remember that conversation. I still cherish that conversation which we had on certain topics related to the Companies Act and the Audit and Accounts. And very rightly said by President Sir that the number of times the acts, the rules have been amendments are being made, have lost the count. So whenever we get a question, which is the book we should have, the latest book and the updated book from the Companies Act, I say always go on the website. Because the moment you purchase it, within a month, it becomes an obsolete book. So there is no other way out to update yourself on the Companies Act other than the MCA website, which is thankfully updated the moment the amendments are made. And really, if you see the ebook, that is very good on the MCA website. Going straight forward to this topic, Schedule 3 amendments. And I'll request President Sir to please chip in wherever required, wherever it is required, sir. Right?
Surely.
So I'm sharing a presentation. You know, when we talk about changes in Schedule 3, just to tell all the members, because all are chartered accountants.
Pramodji, we are not able to see the present, just for information. Huh?
Not able to see. 1 second.
We can see your photo, but not the presentation. We can only see your photo. Now it is coming, I think. Yeah, now we can see. Yeah, now it is
coming. Yeah, great. Thank you. So just a very, very broad overview of Schedule 3. your Schedule 3 is divided into 3 parts: Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. Division 1 is applicable to those companies who are required to comply with the Companies Accounting Standard Rules 2006. And majority of the companies are falling under this division. And second division is, of course, for the companies who are required to file Ind AS. All the listed entities and companies whose net worth is exceeding 250 crores, they have to follow this Ind AS, and they're holding a subsidiary for the purpose of consolidation. And the third division is the NBFCs who are following the Ind AS. I'm not going into details of those, but yes, the changes which has been proposed, which is not proposed, which is effective. First of all, it is effective from 1st of April 2021. Hence, any financial statement prepared for the accounting period beginning on or after 1st April 2021, they have to comply with these changes. So first of all, let us understand that the session which we are having today, those amendments are not required to be made in the financial for the financial year ending 31st March 2021. However, when the points of the amendment would be coming, we'll have to be very careful which are all the points which are though to be disclosed in the notes to the accounts for the financial year ending 2022, yet we have to take care of them in the year ending March 21 also. Right. So when we're coming to those amendments, I'll be talking about that. And if I talk about the changes in the division, just a summary thereof: that general instructions 1 change, balance sheet 1 change, general instructions for the balance sheet 25 changes, which is all related to the disclosures to be made in the notes. Then statement of profit loss 1 change, and general instructions for the statement of profit loss 4 changes. Division 2, general instructions again 1 change, balance sheet 2 changes, statement for changes in equity, which is substituted the whole statement, and general instructions for balance sheet more than 28 changes, general instructions for the statement of profit loss 4 changes. And division 3, statement of changes in equity, that has been substituted, general instructions balance sheet more than 23 changes, and profit loss general instructions the 3 changes. When we talk about these general instructions, these are basically the disclosures which are required to be made in the notes to the account. Now coming to the changes in the balance sheet, and most of the changes that we talk about, the Ind AS one, changes in the statement of changes in equity, that I will talk about in brief. But other changes, the disclosures are similar in all the 3 divisions. They are same in all the 3 divisions. First change, a very, very small change, which talks about rounding of the figures. In the Ind AS, it is already mandatory. But in the financial statement, which have to comply with the Companies Accounting Standard Rule 2006, it is optional. It is optional as on for the financial year ending 31st March 21, the financial statement which you are preparing. And also, what is the limit right now? The limit for rounding off is that in case your total turnover is less than 100 crores, then you can write it out to 100,000, lakhs, millions, crores, or decimal thereof. But if your total income is more than 100 crores, in that case, no 100,000, but lakh, millions, or crores, or decimal thereof. Now this total income, total turnover has been changed to total income. And secondly, it would be mandatory from the year ending March 22, optional for 21. So my take out here, for the current year also, we can round it off in the current year itself. अगले साल पता नहीं ध्यान रहे नहीं रहे, क्योंकि हम मेजर डिस्क्लोजर्स का तो ध्यान रखेंगे, बट राउंडिंग ऑफ करना हो सकता है लास्ट में भूल जाएंगे. I still see various balance sheets where the amounts are given 1,24,350 rupees and 50 paisa. This 50 paisa is currently also not allowed. It has to be in rupees, right? So my humble request that if you have to round it off, and which is mandatory from the next year, start doing from this year itself, so that it would be in the habit. So next year, if you see one of the balance sheet which are not rounded off, You'll say, "Bhaiya, बाकी सब तो rounded off थी, ये क्यों नहीं है?" So let us do. So error जो रहेगी, that could be corrected. Now this in the non-current assets, we have in the balance sheet a heading called property, plant and equipment. We all know that that heading needs to be changed, but now that change has been made, which was required for the assets, under the non-current assets, property, plant and equipment and intangible assets have been added, and for the intangible assets they have substituted with the property, plant and equipment. Here one thing, please take care that this AS10 is mandatory even for non-corporates. तो हम जब प्रोप्राइटरशिप, पार्टनरशिप, LLP की बैलेंस शीट बनाते हैं, वहां पर भी AS10 एप्लीकेबल है, which is property, plant and equipment are non-fixed asset. So please take care and amend in those financial statements also. So this change would be there from next year. Now, one of the important changes made, which would be disclosed in the notes to accounts, we already disclosed this shareholding of the persons who are holding more than 5%. Now, another disclosure that is required is the shareholding of the promoters and also the changes in the promoters during the year, promoter shareholding during the year. Who is a promoter? Now, that promoter is also defined under the Companies Act Section 2 itself. And it includes a person who is disclosed as a promoter in the annual return. Plus other conditions are there, of course. So please take care who is being showed as a promoter. So when you are filing the annual return for year ending 2021, kindly check kisko promoter bata rakha hai. That promoter may or may not be, of course, the shareholder or director. It can be. It can be. Why not? So in those cases, please take care that who is the promoter disclosed in the annual return. And then accordingly in the next financial year, you have to disclose the promoter's shareholding and the changes. And why I said that when it is applicable for the year end 22, you have to see in 21 also, because in the notes to the accounts, whatever details are given, whatever figures are given, you have to disclose for 20 for the previous year also. So for 22, when you will be giving the disclosure for the promoter's change in shareholding and promoter detail, for 21 also you will be giving. Na? So kindly take care. कौन है promoter? पिछले साल किसको बताया था इस साल change कर रहे हैं? So is there a change in the promoter or there's change in the shareholding? Kindly take care. Kindly take care. We might be not looking too deep into the annual return कि किसको promoter दिखाया, because sometimes we give it to the other professionals, company secretary to file the same. So might kindly see this here itself. One change which is there, I would say, since this change was there, this schedule 3 which is there, which was earlier schedule 6, it is same since 2012, where we all know that current maturities of the long-term borrowing was shown as current liability, then not short-term borrowing. तो जब भी होता था टर्म लोन है इस साल का, next 1 year में कितना पेमेंट करना है, we used to disclose that in current liabilities. Now it says that this current maturities of the long-term borrowing has to be classified as short-term borrowings instead of current liabilities. And this change has been made across all 3 changes. And another change which they have made in classification is related to security deposits. They would be classified as current or non-current assets instead of long-term loans and advances or current loans and advances. So security deposits again have been reclassified from loans and advances to current assets. So take care, it would be done again in 22, not 21. Now this is a very, very important change. I have been saying this since now more than nearly 15 years, wherever I used to talk to independent directors or even the bankers, others, that you are asking only for the debtors more than 6 months, less than 6 months. Why you are not asking for the creditors aging? Still ask for the aging. And now the aging, we were earlier classifying only MSME and non-MSME. Dues to MSME, dues to other than MSME. Now the classification would be dues to MSME, dues to other than MSME. What is disputed, what is not disputed? First. Second, the aging. Trade payables less than 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 year, more than 3 years. This would be disclosed in the notes to the accounts. Disclosed in the notes to the accounts. So every company's balance sheet, it would be there. And when it would be given for the year ending 22, it would be given also for the 21. आपने इस साल ध्यान नहीं रखा 21 में और 22 में आप कह रहे हैं कि आपने चेक किया रहा है इस साल तो डिस्क्लोजर करना है, अब ये 3 साल से पुराने जितने हैं उसको कम कर दो. आपने कम कर दिया 2 करोड़, फिर जब प्रीवियस ईयर की फिगर जब बनाने लगेंगे वहां था 10 करोड़. तो हाउ दिस डिफरेंस केम, to whom they were paid, what are the confirmations? This year itself, please check the aging. The moment I'm saying to you, you must be recollecting some of your clients where the trade payables are more than 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year. You know, the first thing is, it is what rightly said by President Sir, that my balance sheet has to be prepared, which has to be true and fair. And it is the first requirement of the management to prepare the financial statement which are true and fair. So if there is a trade payable which is more than 3 year old, why it is more than 3 year old? Why it is stated in the financial statement? Is my financial statement true and fair? Or it should have been written off? First, the management will give it. Sometimes our auditor might have ignored it or may have said that it is not material, whatever it may be. All those reasons set aside. Now it will be in the notes to the accounts. And just think, it will be in the financial statements, and which the assess would be there to the income tax authorities also. Income tax authorities also. So please check for 21 also, this year also. कितनी trade payable की aging है, and what would be disputed? Again, a very big question. MSME disputed, undisputed. You know, in the case of MSME dues, the condition is that, of course, you have to make the payment within 45 days, irrespective of your agreement. But if you have any objection, you have to make that within 15 days of the rendering of delivery of the goods or rendering of service or raising of invoice, whatever it is. Dispute, in my view, should be a dispute which is pending in any court of law. Otherwise, it could be an objection. So take care that when it is disputed, still not payable or payable, true and fair, first management, second auditor. So the responsibilities of both. So this aging would create lot of ruffles. So please tell all your clients, and if you yourself are a corporate, please take care of this. And similarly for the trade receivables, aging, disputed, undisputed, doubtful, and also unbilled dues, unbilled revenue, aging of the debtors, unbilled revenue. We know that in the construction contracts, service agreements, arrangements, service when we are rendering services, software, we are having unbilled revenues. Since when it is not billed? Again, the aging out here, less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 to 2 year, 2 to 3 year, more than 3 year. 3 साल से pending आएगा कि नहीं आएगा पैसा? Why the provision has not been created? More than 3 years, still not doubtful. Doubtful creating of the provision. You know, I have to comply with the yes, also not true and fair. Mark to market, सब करना पड़ेगा. And management will say, And auditor will also have to give a reason. So you have to have a reason that it is more than 3 years. Why is not paying? Have you gone for the IBC? Has the client gone for the IBC? If not, then how he can say still is doubtful? Confirmation, in these cases of more than 1 year, 2 year, whether it is trade payable or trade receivable, as an auditor, we need to take an external confirmation too. We should, SA 505. And of course, trade payables, income tax authorities would be saying, and I have to be careful here, whether it is written off or not. Because we have seen several times that the debts are never shown as doubtful or provision created. And once in a blue moon, it is strike off as a bad debt under income tax to claim that expenditure, but never shown as a doubtful, even though there is a litigation, there is an arbitration thereof. So more and more disclosures are there, transparency is there in the financial statement, and this would help the bankers, the person who want to invest. Are they good paymasters? So all those things would be disclosed in the financial statements, which is good for the stakeholders. And of course, the corporates, they have to come clean. Right? One of the things which has been deferred was audit trail, the software audit trail. So the corporates had a great sigh of relief. Apart from the corporates, I saw various professionals also heaving a sigh of relief that, oh, ek saal ke liye defer ho gaya. And audit trail, software, accounts have to be prepared. And thinking only corporates पे है. अरे भाई जब सॉफ्टवेयर पे आएगा तो टैली में आएगा तो क्या आपकी प्रोप्राइटरशिप पार्टनरशिप उसके अंदर उसके अकाउंट्स प्रिपेयर नहीं होंगे? तो जब इनकम टैक्स अथॉरिटीज मांगेगी कि आपके बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स किस पे मेंटेन्ड है, आप कहेंगे टैली, तो ऑडिट ट्रेल उसमें भी है फॉर प्रोप्राइटरशिप पार्टनरशिप एलएलपी आल्सो. सो प्लीज टेक केयर, टेल टू द क्लाइंट्स कि ये हॉच-पॉच करना बंद करें. जितने भी मेरे सीनियर्स हैं, जस्ट रिकलेक्ट व्हेन देयर वाज नो कंप्यूटर, बुक्स वर इन द हार्ड बाउंड. क्या करते थे? या हमने जब अपनी 11th 12th में अपने अकाउंट्स पढ़े, was there any provision to just delete an entry? There was always a reversal of the entry, the reverse creasy entry. So that basic accounting that has been brought in. Na? So instead of deletion and all those things, जो कि हमने कंप्यूटर में आने के बाद we have just thought that it has become our right. This is the way account is to be done. It is not that way. So accounting is by the client. Tell them now what is to be done in that case also. In that case also, you have to, as an auditor also, you have to see the audit trail and see what backdating or omission of the entries, deletion of the entries, whatever is the report, you need to have a reason thereof while auditing. And again, I'm saying not only corporates, proprietorship part, because software is same, na? You won't be having two different softwares, one for corporates and one for non-corporate. Tally agar बेचेगा, busy बेचेगा, कोई भी बेचेगा तो एक ही software बेचेगा with that audit trail, and everything is faceless. So please take care. The responsibility of the auditors have to be very, very clear and making understand that the books are prepared by the management, irrespective of whether corporate or non-corporate. I have to have a reason for any changes made. Right. Another aging asked for is capital work in progress. Chala aa raha kitne saalon se? No one knows. Maybe 8-10 years, whether it is temporarily suspended or not. And if it is temporarily suspended, then they are asking, okay, if it has exceeded the original cost also, cost as originally planned, then you have to give it, okay, aapka itne saalon se chal raha hai, it is temporarily suspended, within what time it would be completed. The management will have to see it. And one very important point to note, that these all would be there in the notes to the accounts. I'll come to that important point later in the next slide. Also, there is another change for my figure set chart. I'm saying fixed asset, though it is property, plant and equipment, but we should come with the same terms now. It is property, plant and equipment, and the intangible asset. It's a it's a reconciliation. Another line item has been added that in case the change is due to revaluation, the change is more than 10%, then also you have to disclose it separately. Now coming with this point out there. Yes, sir.
जैसे earlier slide में friends ये जो तीन changes हुए हैं, the earlier slide अपना trade payable, trade receivable and capital, I think it is basically the abuse of which has been happening for so long. आज देखते हैं normal course में कोई भी trade payable एक साल का पूरा except government companies के बाकी रहते होंगे. Same way trade receivables also, anything more than a year, exceptions apart, barring. नॉर्मल कोस्ट में इतना होने ही नहीं चाहिए. तो ये अभी तक क्या कुछ भी चलते आ रहा था. पीपल यूज्ड टू कुक अप द अकाउंट्स, बोगस प्रॉफिट दिखाना, बोगस वो परचेजेस, बोगस एवरीथिंग, और एडजस्टमेंट उसके नहीं होते थे और बाद में सडनली लॉस दिखते थे. सेम वे कैपिटल वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस में भी. तो ये ऑल दिस इज अराइजिंग आउट ऑफ द अब्यूज व्हिच हैज हैपेंड बाय सम कंपनीज, और व्हिच possibly the respective auditors have given turned a blind eye to the developments. और इसमें अभी समझो आप दिखोगे और कोई गलत काम हो रहा है तो आपको कोई बचा नहीं सकेगा. इन द सेंस अगर नॉर्मल कोर्स में आप दिखा रहे हो कि 3 साल के ऊपर के पेएबल है या रिसीवेबल 3 साल के, इन अ नॉर्मल थिंग, अनलेस देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक रैशनल बिहाइंड इट, देयर विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू सो आई थिंक ऑल हाथ और पैर वो बांध रहे हैं क्या कहीं ना कहीं. एक तो कंपनियों ने गलत किया है, मैनेजमेंट प्रमोटर्स ने, और हमने इतना ध्यान से दिखा नहीं है रिजल्ट. आई थिंक लेट्स एडमिट इट, दैट्स व्हाई दीस changes are becoming so detailed.
Yes, very right, sir. Very right. Very right.
Let's handing.
Now this change in the case of title deals of immovable property which are not held in the name of the company. So now this we had already been reporting in the CARO, but here they say now they have added that if held in the name of the promoter, director, or relative of promoter, or director or employee of the promoter, director. Now this amendment has been made also in CARO 2020, clause 1C. There also have to report. Now CARO 2020 is again would be applicable for the financial statements prepared, I would say financial year 21-22 onwards. And this change is also there from then only. Now, one question, because now further changes what I'm really talking about, because first of all, management will have to say that, okay, these immovable property title deed is not held in the name of the company. The management, the requirement is there to be prepared in the Schedule 3. Because if the Schedule 3 is not complied with, auditor will have to report that in his auditor report. Also, CARO says that the auditor has to report whether they are held in the name of the company or not. And another line item has been added there also, that name of the promoter director in whose name it is being held. Now, one of my friends told, Pramod ji, अब तो आप बहुत कहते हैं स्मॉल कंपनी की टर्नओवर लिमिट बढ़ाओ. अब तो स्मॉल कंपनी की टर्नओवर लिमिट बढ़ गई 20 करोड़, उसमें तो CARO एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं है. So this clause not to be reported by the auditor. And so many other clauses which we'll be talking about, CARO applicable ही नहीं. Right? You're very right. And that's why when this Schedule 3 amendment has been made, they have been made so beautifully. Please understand, even to companies to whom CARO is not applicable, these disclosures would be required in the notes to the accounts. And if Schedule 3 is not complied with, it is the duty of the auditor, primary duty of the auditor to ensure that the financial statements are prepared as per Schedule 3, CARO or no CARO. Even where the CARO is not required, there also in these clauses which we will be discussing later on, auditor has to ensure that they are disclosed in the notes to accounts. हम कह रहे थे स्मॉल कंपनी में 2 करोड़ की पेड अप कैपिटल एंड टर्नओवर 20 करोड़, CARO से बच गए. हाँ, ऑडिटर बच गया to report in CARO, but his obligation doesn't end. He has to ensure that Schedule 3 is complied with. If the trade payable aging is not given, if there's immovable property which is not held in the name of the company, now auditor will have to see whether CARO is applicable or not, that the immovable property is held in the name of the company or not. And if not, the same is disclosed in the notes to the accounts. So please take care. this change in the Schedule 3, management as well as the auditor, because auditor will have to ensure and see all those things. Now, this again, no, when I came to this council, so trying very hard and talk to various regulators, MCA, SEBI, others, that whenever any revaluation is done, valuation is done, that should be done after the coming of the Companies Act 2013, that should be done by a registered valuer. But I have seen and I've been informed by various of my professionals that in the case of India's preparation or revaluation of PPE or my financial assets or any other things, they say there is no requirement under the Companies Act to get it done by a registered valuer. But now through this amendment, in the notes, which has been done for the Indias as well as the non-Indias, that in case of revaluation of PPE, the valuation has to be done by a registered valuer. And the auditor also in the CARO has to report whether if there is a revaluation, the same has been done by the registered valuer. Section 247 of the Companies Act, IBBI se jo pass karta hai wo. So now, other than these registered valuers, no valuation can be done under the Companies Act. You know, the specified sections were already there, the share valuation and all those things. But for preparation of the financial statements, wherever the valuations were required, it was not specified in the Act. But now, through this Schedule 3 changes and CARO, the valuation has to be done by registered valuer. If not done, then the auditor will have to report. Please take care of that. So take care for the 21-year ending also. Loans or advances, another clause which is required to be disclosed in the notes. Notes or advances in the nature of loans granted, not received, to the promoters, directors, KMP and the related parties, either severally or jointly, which are repayable on demand or without specifying any terms period of the repayment. Yeah, this question came to me a few times. Sir, ये तो हम already दे रहे हैं under AS 18, under 186 subsection 4. We are giving for all the related parties and 186 for even unrelated parties. So why this again? But there it was not mentioned that these loans, about the loans which have been granted to these promoters, directors, KMP and related parties, that whether they were given, repayable on demand or without specifying any terms, and how much is their percentage to the total advances. Now that is required to be disclosed in the notes to the accounts. It is not that you cannot get, but then that has to be disclosed. Kitna amount de rakha hai. Actually, we, jab hum various companies when jo loan leti hain ya deti hai, in both the cases, we very rarely find from the directors or promoters or related parties that loan ever taken or given, you find the document or we see the document, the agreement. So there is no terms or agreement. No. So see in 21 itself, I am saying, and this is again under CARO 2020 clause 3F. The auditor will have to report. So these changes, which the auditor will have to report, as the duty has been first casted on the management itself. What President said in his initial comment itself. So I have to be very careful. Yes, if there is an agreement, if it is repayable on demand, there is no issue, but the disclosure is required. Apart from the disclosure which is required for AS 18 186 subsection 4, this another declaration, either disclosure would be required in Schedule 3. Now again, another disclosure is where the company has not used the borrowing from banks or financial institutions for the specific purpose for which it was taken, as at the balance sheet date. Now the company has taken the term loan for say machinery, but used somewhere else. Now that disclosure is required in the notes to the accounts. In the CARO 2020, this was asked from the auditor. The auditor has to report for the term loans. In this case, it is required in the CARO. Now, if I talk about a specific purpose, it is normally a term loan. Rarely you will find any other facility which would be a specific purpose and open like OD or CC limit like this. So if it is for a specific purpose, it could be for my packing credit or whatever. So the purpose is when it is specific. So I have to report. But in the CARO 9C, it is for term loans only. So disclosure is required in notes to the accounts, and auditor will have to report through CARO. Disclosures for the Benami Property Act, and this detail is to be given only where any proceedings have been initiated or pending against the company. It is not that the company has to say that I have got a Benami property or not. Only the disclosure is required if under the Act, the prohibition of the Benami Property Act. In that case, if the proceedings have been initiated or pending, then there is a requirement. And similar requirement is there on the auditors under CARO. That any proceedings have been initiated or not. The auditor have to report, again, the first duty on the management. They will say. You might have been taking those such disclosures earlier on the MRL also. But MRL, literally, I would say they have brought it into the notes to the accounts, and where the auditor again have to report upon that. So this is good for the auditing profession, I would say, because CARO 2020 is going to be there, already there. Now this again, a very important disclosure required in the notes. Where the company has borrowed money from the banks of financial institutions, again the current assets, stocks, debtors, and they are filing it with the bankers, the quarterly statements of stock and debtors, sometimes certified by the chartered accountant, sometimes not. Now, and sometimes the managements are too smart, and they ask about, they don't give at the year end, they give on somewhere 28th March or 29th March, whatever it may be. Now it is not on which date they are giving. Now what is required is that the management will first have to state in their notes to the accounts that the statements, the returns which are filed with the bankers and financial institutions, they are in agreement with the books of accounts or not. So if a company has stated that the stocks are of 50 crores to the bankers, and in the books, if there is a variation, the reconciliation and the reasons, if there is a material discrepancy, that has to be stated in the notes to account. It may be that to the bankers, they have given it at the selling price, the market price, the net realizable value. Whereas when we value in the financial statements, we value it at lower of cost and net realizable value. So if whatever is the reason, a reconciliation and the reason has to be given. And now again, when this reconciliation and the reason is to be given for 2022, then 2021 also. So इस साल का जब audit करेंगे तब भी कर लीजिएगा. CARO में requirement is only when the borrowing is exceeding 5 crores. CARO clause 2B. But in the notes, even if it is for a 50 lakhs, it has to be given. It has to be given. So when it is given in the notes, so suppose the borrowing is of 1 crore. Notes में management ने दिया है. Duty auditor की आ जाएगी to verify, yes, we are in agreement with the books of accounts. And if not, the reconciliation, the reasons. तो March 21 की भी check कर लीजिएगा please. इस साल कर लीजिएगा please. Right? Yes. Another very important thing is about the ratios. We have been talking about analyzing the financial statements through ratios. Now, ratios has to be given in the notes to the accounts, 11 ratios, and these are in relation to, along with I have to give the numerator and the denominator. And in case there is a variation of more than 25% as compared to the previous year, then I have to give the reason thereof. And few ratios. Just see inventory turnover, trade receivable turnover, trade payable turnover. The company's turnover is 100 crores, inventory is 80 crores, manufacturing time period is 2 days. So what is the reason? Auditor should ask now. Similarly, trade receivables, turnover 100 crores, trade receivables 115 crores. क्या business कर रहे हैं? Similarly for the trade payables. So my ratios. And of course, the auditor in the car has to report that based upon these ratios, is the company capable of meeting its liabilities as at the existing date of the balance sheet? That is required in the clause 19. So we had been asking as an institute, sir, kaun si ratios? Now these ratios have been given. So my humble request, prepare it for 21, and when it is there, please do it for all your clients, whether he is a corporate or non-corporate. This will help us in improving our audits, and the reputation in the eyes of various stakeholders would improve. And this is what we all want, right? So let us do it. So, right. Details where a company is declared a willful defaulter by the bank. Caro 9B, I have to report. So willful defaulter by the IRBI, everything is given out there. So if he is declared willful defaulter by the bank, financial institutions, RBI, the guidelines are given in the RBI. And the Caro also, the guidance note, if you see by the ICI, they have given all the details. Schedule 3 guidance also would change, and so the next year we'll be getting everything. And this is very, very interesting amendment. When this amendment came, I thought that why it is required. But then I realized that, of course, the auditor will have to report in these two clauses of Caro 9E and 9F. Utilization of the borrowed fund, where the company has advanced any funds to any other person, to any person or entities, including foreign entities, these all together are called intermediaries, with the understanding, whether recorded in writing or otherwise, that the intermediary shall directly or indirectly lend or invest in other persons or entities identified in any manner who are the ultimate beneficiaries, or provide any guarantee, security, or like on behalf of ultimate beneficiaries. The purpose of giving the advance, and similarly it is for borrowing also. क्या आपने borrow इसलिए किया कि आप किसी और को borrow कर, आप किसी और को फंड दे सकें, या आपने किसी को एडवांस इसलिए लोन दिया, आपने इसलिए एडवांस दिया कि वो फर्दर किसी को एडवांस दे सके या उसके ब्याज पे वो गारंटी दे सके? How could the auditor report unless the management gives him? So we were thinking that the MR will have to take. Now that has been first duty casted to disclose in the notes to account section. So please take care, just going by the layer funding and all those things. That would be disclosed in the notes to accounts. Again, a very, very important point. And if you are an income tax practitioner, you must have seen that certain cases are opened only because of relationship with the struck-off company. I've been telling this in several last years, that your entity should not have any relationship with the struck-off companies, either as an investment or debtors or creditors or others. So my friends used to tell me, sir, there is no responsibility of the auditor to see the shareholders. कहीं है ही नहीं कंपनीज एक्ट में, और उससे मेरी बैलेंस शीट के फाइनेंशियल्स में फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. Now suppose the company has made investment into a struck-off company. So what is the duty? Or there is a loans, advances, debtors, creditors with a struck-off company. What is the duty of the management and the auditor? The duty is, of course, to go with the management behind those struck-off companies and ask them first, are they in the process to revive those companies or not? And if they don't have any evidence thereof, then they should not remain in the financial statement. They should be struck off. They should be nil, zero. My investment is zero. I've shown investment of 5 crores. And these are all struck off companies. My realization is zero. My AS says, my AS 13 says, of course, they are not realizable. Strike it off. I'm saying my balance sheet is true and fair. I'm saying that my debtors are 10 crores. Those persons are not existing. When a company is struck off, they're not existing. So how my financial statement is true and fair? It should be nil. I have taken a loan. The company is not existing. To whom I have to pay? I have to pay no one. Why it is not written off? So investment, debtors, creditors, loans, kindly see there should be no struck off. And again, the amounts have to be given. So for 22, it will be given. Take care in 21 also. पिछले साल का भी देना पड़ेगा. Notes में आएगा तो ऑडिटर को भी उसको वेरीफाई करना पड़ेगा. And shareholders, duty casted on the management as well as the auditor. So whatever is disclosed in the notes, the duty is on the management as well as the auditor. Shareholders में तो कोई ऐसा नहीं है जो कि struck off है. So that person is not existing. A beautiful question came: what happens to a company whose all shareholders are struck off? My simple question was, how did the AGM held last year? To whom the notice was sent, who attended? और मुझे जो थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया है, नॉर्मली कहते हैं जिसका कोई नहीं होता उसका भगवान होता है. But in the material world, if any material जिसका कोई नहीं होता उसका गवर्नमेंट होता है. उसका कोई चीज अगर जमीन सड़क पे गिरी हुई मिल गई, कोई there is no owner. The owner is the state. So when there is a shareholder who is not existing, the owner becomes the state. So kindly take care.
इसमें Praveen ji, how, just like a practical question.
Yeah.
Assuming a large company, they may be having a lot of debtors, creditors. Of course, investment इतने ज़्यादा नहीं होंगे. Shareholders बहुत होंगे उनके. How do you identify easily? Of course, we can through the MCA website and all. I think.
Sir, very good question. And I would tell you one thing, sir. Again, it is not that everything has to be done by the auditors. There are other chartered accountants also. So the companies have to give this work as an assignment to another chartered accountant. And if the money is paid, they will find it out. Don't worry. They will give a report there on. Right. Professional opportunities there ना, वो देखेगा सारा, बताएगा.
नहीं, it will delay the whole thing. Large company, छोटी company में तो identify हो जाएगा. बड़ी कंपनियों में,
सर आप अगर असाइनमेंट आपको मिल जाएगा ना, आप भी एक हफ्ते में करके दे देंगे, चाहे रिसोर्स जितनी लगानी पड़े.
हाँ, बराबर है.
सर पैसा मिलेगा तो काम होएगा.
Right.
So lot of opportunities are coming out of this. One is this struck off companies. भाई हमारा सारा access कर दो और certificate दे दो भाई कि कोई struck off company नहीं है हमारे इसमें. For the large companies, a huge professional opportunity ना. So similarly, there could be aging of payables. There are certain entities who are having the financials 1 year at a time. So going beyond the year, so उसकी aging करवाना वो भी एक बहुत बड़ा काम होगा. Depends upon company to company. So a lot of work out here for preparation of the financial statement and disclosure would be there. Right?
Yeah, this will be a big work, I think.
Big
One
work,
time,
very
first time तो बहुत बड़ा काम रहेगा.
Yes, sir. Another requirement is any charges of satisfaction yet to be registered with the registrar of companies beyond the statutory period. Friends, just note that if any charge is not created, it cannot be registered thereafter. There is no provision. The provision has been amended. Only the penalties would be levied. The fine would be there. So now, and take care, especially in the case of vehicle loans. Charges are not created. कहता था भाई कौन देख रहा है, कौन पूछ रहा है. Now, the management will have to give in the notes, and it will be the duty of the auditor to see. तो जो कार लोन होती है ना, टर्म लोन जो बैंक से ले लेते हैं, एनबीएफसी से ले लेते हैं, उसका चार्ज रजिस्टरिंग कराते हैं, कौन देख रहा है, सेटिस्फाई हो जाता है, बैंकर नहीं कर रहा. रिपोर्टिंग देयर इन शेड्यूल 3. and by the auditor again. So please take care of this year itself. Compliance with the number of layer of companies, because they said कब तक verify करें, कब तक नहीं करें. एक से second subsidiary, second to third subsidiary, there is a special rule for this, the number of layer of companies. So please, reading that rules, ensure that the company is not defaulting into that more than 2 layers of companies. Wherever the NBFCs, the banks, the benefits have been given. So wherever it is not given, so they should not default in this number of layers.
Pramod ji, एक ही second. I think it is going off very well. You're explaining and you're showcasing exceedingly well. My only this thing to Amrit ji or Pradeep ji is how long do we want to continue? I don't know how, because I think we are still halfway with my gut feel.
No, I'll try and finish within the next 5 to 7 minutes.
क्यों? P&L तो पूरा बाकी है, तो balance sheet ही है अभी.
P&L में भी 2-3 points है, sir. I'll do a bit fast.
नहीं, ऐसे नहीं. I don't want you to do fast. बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है, मतलब on the. So I'm just wanting to check up with Amrit ji of this thing, whether we want to do depending on your convenience. आज ही करना है, कल वापस 8 से 9 सेकंड सेशन करना है. अगर आपको मतलब वो कितना टाइम लगे, समझो और 1 घंटे का टाइम हो अच्छे तरह से करने के लिए. What is your suggestion?
We can go for 10 more minutes today. And if still something is remaining, we'll have one more session later on. Yeah.
तो प्रमोद जी, जो ऑप्शन है, अपने को लगता है कि मतलब घाई करके वो है, तो depending on your convenience, tomorrow we can continue, tomorrow or day after, whatever time you suggest, whatever date is convenient to you, and then we can accordingly do that.
President sir, एक बार इसको brush up कर लेते हैं. Done. Each and every point will require a lot of deliberation.
That's the reason I don't understand. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now again, this compliance with the approved schemes of mergers, demergers, arrangements, whatever there is. So what is required in such cases, you have to the management have to disclose that the accounting thereof has been done as per the scheme and according with the accounting standards. Both. Though the scheme is only approved if it is within the in accordance with accounting standards, yet now the duty has been casted to showcase that in the notes to the accounts, and the auditor will have to report thereof. The beauty which President sir I noted was that the moment they put that in Schedule 3, the auditor duty comes. So it is no need to change the auditor's report. So they have done that very beautifully.
Right.
Changes in the PL, of course, total revenue to total income, because they have amended the rounding off thereof also. And revenue from operations, in the case of Section 8 company, they have included another line item, that is grants or donation received. A very, very important amendment related to undisclosed income, that is the incomes which are surrendered or disclosed under the income tax during search, service and all those things. So in that case, unless there is an immunity, so the disclosure is to be made for the profit loss, that whether previously unrecorded income and related has been properly recorded in the books of account or not. Now this has been asked from the auditor also in Carve project. So that has to be now disclosed. Details where company has traded or invested into cryptocurrency or virtual currency. A lot of debate is going on whether it is legal to invest into cryptocurrency or not. Banned hai ki nahi hai. I don't think so. I am capable of commenting upon that, but I've seen during the IPL a lot of ads going on to invest into Bitcoin and others. So if it is not banned, then how it can be done? But it is being done. So now whether the company has done it or not, because sometime earlier also a few of the clients came to incorporate a company to trade into cryptocurrency and they had successfully done it. So MCA has been allowing it. So now just you have to tell, the management has to tell whether they have traded or invested into cryptocurrency or not. Our role is this only. Whether it is legal or not, let the other regulators take call on that. Management has to disclose whether they have traded or invested into cryptocurrency or virtual currency, and auditor will have to certify that yes, it is in accordance with whatever is disclosed in the notes. CSR responsibility, we had a many time talks with the MCA through the institute that yes, CSR ki compliance ka kya hai, kya nahi hai. Now, everything has been brought in the CARO, the CSR thing, as well as in the notes to the accounts. This disclosure has been amended. The auditor has to report upon the compliance of CSR in clause 20. Kitna spend karna tha, kitna nahi kiya, aage transfer kiya ki nahi kiya within next 6 months in the schedule 7 funds, or if it is an ongoing project, opened a new bank account. All those things the auditor will have to report, but the disclosure of amount required to be spent, actual spend, shortfall, reason, provisions are there, provision has to be made or not. For March 21, please take care to provide whatever is not spent. For March 20, it was not mandatory, but 21 it is mandatory, because the CSR Act and the Section 35 and the rules have been amended with effect from 22nd of January 2021, wherein if you don't spend, you have to give it to the government practically, unless it is an ongoing project and you get 3 years. So now the provision is mandatory. Please take care for March 21. Division 2 and 3, of course, mostly same as Division 1. In financial liabilities, another line item of lease liabilities. Statement of changes for equity that has been substituted. Additional disclosure is required for prior period errors and restated balance sheet. Also, the details of other equity, etc., for prior reporting period. Same disclosure is there for the previous reporting period. The whole schedule for this has been changed. And again, mentioned in this too, in Division 1, it was the property, plant and equipment there, because India requires the revaluation. Fair value of investment property revaluations have to be done only by the registered valuer. And Division 3, of course, the ratios which were 11, which were given for the AS and Ind AS, here only these 4 which we give to the RBI. So these are the overall changes. Each change will have to be discussed in detail, but my humble submission out here is that these changes, when it will be required, two important things. One, when it will be required to be disclosed in 22, you will have to give it for 21 also. Please take care of this also. And secondly, just don't keep in your mind that मेरी client की company में कारो applicable नहीं है तो मेरे को ये applicable नहीं होगा. No, client कुछ भी कर ले, because my auditor's report, if schedule 3 is not complied with, I'll have to report. So please take care, sir. And here I thank you everyone. I'm not going into further detail. Thank you for giving me an opportunity, and I've tried to complete that within, sir. Fine, sir.
Fantastic presentation, Pramod ji. I can't, just a couple of comments, friends.
Yeah.
See, earlier, I think what was happening is even earlier Schedule 6 or Schedule 3, what we are having, kabhi aise hota tha ki certain clauses, the companies never used to report and we used to sort of ignore. But currently, what is just as a matter of information I want to give you is whether it is FRRB, whether it is Quality Review Board, whether it is Institute Disciplinary Process. आज क्या झगड़ा हुआ पार्टनर्स में, उन्होंने एक कोई आपने कॉन्शियसली एक नोट डाली नहीं है, डिस्क्लोजर सब डिस्क्लोजर आए हैं और डाली नहीं है, समझो एमसीए के नजर में भी नहीं आया, और प्रोमोटर्स में डिस्प्यूट हो गया, हस्बैंड वाइफ में डिस्प्यूट, फैमिली में डिस्प्यूट हो गया, तो यही कारण लेके दिल फाइल अ कंप्लेंट इन द इंस्टीट्यूट and nobody will save you. Nowadays, the way the district committee is reviewing even minor, also non-material, I would say non-disclosures is very serious. So please don't take chances कि मैं report नहीं करूँगा तो क्या होगा, मतलब company report नहीं करूँ, मैं भी report नहीं करूँगा. It is not going to help you. Second is, I think the changes are tremendous. We should increase the fees. आज क्या तो अपन वही काम बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, अपन नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो वो नहीं होना चाहिए. वी शुड बी इंक्रीजिंग आवर फीस आल्सो कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग. इतने सारे चेंजेस हैं आफ्टर एनालाइजिंग, आफ्टर प्रमोद जी ने इतने अच्छे तरह से बताया है. एंड लास्टली, what I thought would be a good opportunity for a lot of the firms would be this transaction with the stock of companies, investment, debtors, traders, shareholders, ये पूरा उसको scan करके, I think that itself will be a huge, exercise which may have to be careful. Larger company, छोटे company में छोटा रहेगा, बड़े company में बड़ा रहेगा. I think in my view that could be a very good opportunity. But Any questions there in the chat box? Let me just see. Can we get PPT on email? Nitin Kothari ka question hai. I'm sure. हाँ, आपका जवाब भी आ गया. You will download. Okay, sir. Thanks. In fact, I'll separately talk to Pramod ji how you are doing those corrections, not corrections, but remarks on this presentation as you are speaking. I'll also learn that from you. Use it in my subsequent presentation. But any other questions from the participants? You can just put on the chat box if you feel anything you want a clarification on from Pramod ji. I don't think ऐसे कुछ chat box में दिख नहीं रहा है. So thank you very much, Pramod. Fantastic. It was good that I grabbed the opportunity of being on the session with you. मेरे लिए भी बहुत अच्छा रहा. I have read through the changes, but I have not, since it was from first stipulate, I have not applied my mind to the extent the way you went into the detail and the depth of the things. Really an eye-opener and a fantastic presentation. Thanks for enriching all of us with your, detailed dissemination of the changes to the Schedule 3. Over to Pradeep ji or Amrit ji to take over. Yeah. For the concluding remarks, if any. Yeah.
Dipti, please.
Or any announcements?
Yes,
any
sir.
announcements? Yeah.
Now, thank you, sir, for this wonderful presentation. And it's really enlightening. As JCAF is committed to knowledge sharing, and we are coming up with the series of lectures. And the forthcoming topic which we are going to conduct on 21st of April is networking by CA firms and multidisciplinary firm by CA Charanjot Singh Chadda on 21st of April, the same timing 8 to 9. So I would request all the participants to share this message and to join us again on 21st of April. And this was a very enlightening and interesting session. I thank all the panelists and participants for giving their valuable time and being with us, and always be very supportive for JCF. Now I request our own General Secretary, CA Amrit Porwal sir, for a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dipti. Friends, it has been a really pleasant task for me to propose a vote of thanks to none other than our past president, Nilesh Bhai Vikamsi, who readily agreed at a short notice to chair the session. And when I informed him about the Pramod ji, that he is the speaker, he was really delighted and very eager to join, because he has never spoken, as he already informed today also. He has never, both of them were not together on any session. And you see, Pramod ji's this entire presentation was really useful for all the practicing chartered accountants who are basically doing this accounting and auditing for various corporates, as well as he has given us the tips that these things are important from even non-corporate entities like proprietorship and partnership firms. And we all have to be very careful while starting our attached function going forward, because now the watchdog infra is also already there, and even other authorities are also taking note of what we are basically reporting in our financial statement. Pehle jaisa chalta hai attitude no more will work, and now we will have to be very careful in discharging all our attached functions. Most important of all of these functions is the auditing, basically. Once again, I thank Pramod ji for having spared time to speak with JCF audience. We have more than 20 people attending today, and a lot of other members are also watching us on YouTube. We are thankful to all of them, to the audience also, and as informed by Dipti, we request all of you to join us again on 21st of April, where a very interesting topic of networking, the recent new networking guidelines for chartered accountant firms, as well as the multidisciplinary firms, how to form the firms and what are the advantage, disadvantage, everything will be discussed in detail by CCM Charanjot Singh ji Nanda. Thanks a lot. With this remark, I request.
Amrit,
एक
प्रमोद जी से रेंज चेक भी ले लेते आगे और कोई कंपनीज एक्ट या इनकम टैक्स चेंजेस और एक सेशन के लिए साल भर में.
Of course, yeah, because
anytime.
We all are aware that most of the changes are going to be effective from current financial year, so to be reported as on a balance sheet in March 22. I just wanted a quick feedback, Pramodji. So anything which is applicable for this financial year, March 21, which we are going to audit right now, the reports we are going to sign. So we at least be extra cautious about this. We do not miss on anything important.
Sir, I talked only about that today. कि जो 22 में डिस्क्लोज करेंगे वो 21 में भी आएगा ना सर. आप समझे, आप ट्रेड पे सर, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इफ वी आर नॉट एबल टू गाइड अवर क्लाइंट्स राइट नाउ ना, तो नेक्स्ट ईयर प्रॉब्लम क्लाइंट को भी आनी है, ऑडिटर को भी आनी है. So
need to be make them aware about all these things which are.
अमृत जी, पूरा आपकी बार इम्प्लीमेंट करो, डिस्क्लोज करो नहीं करो, पता चलेगा क्या है उसको करेक्ट करने के लिए.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Pramod ji's suggestion is. कि पूरा आपकी बार करके, then see where you stand, मतलब then where the company stands.
Right. Yeah.
सर ऐसा होगा ना, मान लीजिए किसी क्लाइंट ने कुछ किया, उसको बोलेंगे चल इस बार तो छोड़ देते हैं, अगली बार नहीं छोड़ेंगे.
So dry run हो जाएगा, एक dry run.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to everyone, especially Nilesh sir, President sir. So nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pramod ji.
Santosh ji also for joining from Pune, especially for this session, and our EPEC President Santilal ji Kochar, despite being such a senior, he is always ready with whatever event we come out with. He is ever ready. In fact, he has been the guiding force, and he has been pushing us for making this series available to all the members right from last this March month only. He has been start this series, and now we have done it. Thank you a lot for this. Yeah. Thank you.
One request to the Pramod ji.